And we're back to talk about the best season of a show time has tried to forget like the original Scooby-Doo, but then a baby's version came out and reinvigorated the franchise at its lowest moment. At least that's my prediction for the future. Anyways, time to explain the best season of Total Drama Don't At Me, Total Drama World Tour. I need to restate though, like in my last video, Total Drama-Rama is non-canon and unfortunately is unable to qualify for this listing. But rest assured, I'm sure we'd all know where it would land. At the fucking top, babe. Now, before I get into World Tour, I need to give another history lesson. This time we're talking about the second season. For this, they took 2/3 of the original cast and put them back for another season. Not exactly the most creative option they could have given us, but a safe one. We'd already gotten to know these characters, and with the second season, they could take away the less desirable characters to develop the better ones with the same time frame as the original season. I won't say it failed because in all honesty, it really didn't. I thoroughly enjoyed Action and would put it in my top 3 seasons. For those wondering, my rankings go World Tour, Island, Action, Redonkulous, Revenge of the Island, All Stars, then Pocketeo. Your Honor, I'd like to put it on record that I indeed put Pocketeo in Comic Sans font in the script because it is the worst season and therefore deserves the worst font. The cast was able to get into some fun, unique scenarios in the second season and were generally fun to be around, but it didn't quite have the flair the original season did. Maybe it could be put up to Beth being one of the final characters in the finale. Nothing against her, but come on, against Duncan, there was no way she'd win. She's an okay character at best. They kind of made me dislike Trent due to how much of a pushover he became. He wasn't necessarily my favorite before, but he just sort of became annoying. Anyway, after the second season concluded, it was almost definite a new one would start up. So what's the best way to introduce the next season? Another 44-minute special like the link between the first and second. The original cross between seasons was nothing special, just the characters hanging out, and Owen decides to be an idiot and go for the million rather than the 100K, and everyone has a big frenzy over who should get it. Obviously, it would end with none of them getting it and having to go through another season, but it was fun while it lasted, I guess. I gotta say though, the cross between seasons for 2 and 3 blows this one out of the water. A mockumentary in the style of a TMZ expose on what happened to all the characters, ending in them all being replaced after their 15 minutes are up, and fighting with this new cast in a chase scene involving tour buses, caramel, and a large bra. Then the members who don't return for the third season go to an Indiana Jones nuclear test site, while the 2 new contestants are reintroduced as such after the chase scene. They even foreshadowed characters who would show up and sort of the ending of the season. What a memorable and hilarious way to start off a new season. Now this time the cast is going all around the world and singing songs while doing it. The concept itself, thankfully, is trying something completely different in many ways, not only by changing up who's on and off, but also having the characters sing. This is a major aspect of Total Drama World Tour that's helped in gaining it the status it has within the Total Drama super fandom. The entire point of the singing was to parody shows that have people or contestants in a show sing each episode by making the characters sing in either the worst possible situation or the weirdest one. For some reason, this first song's opening line gets me every time just because of how simple it is. The songs usually do something several shows with musical numbers in each episode forget to include, that being they move the story along in some way. Many of the songs are meant totally and only for the comedy, which is fine by me because having the cast sing about stripping an English guard for a note or trying to use a carve-out of another contestant's face as a boat is fine by me. The characters themselves aren't really trained in music or switched out for better singers when they need to because that would take away from the realness of the show, and it's part of the joke they're sort of just making this up as they go. Some are better than others, but thankfully no one is too bad as a singer to the point it becomes unbearable to listen to. I did notice some auto-tuning on Alejandro's voice near the end of the season, but I'm just gonna let it slide because of what Alejandro does for World Tour. Having the cast basically put on music videos also gives way for the animators and writers to try their hand at stylizing the art style and set pieces more than they would on other seasons. The animation isn't much better than other seasons from what I can tell, but they make it look better through the music videos alone. The fact that the songs are really catchy on their own doesn't hurt either. I still find shitty Windows Movie Maker AMVs ranking their top 10 favorite TWT songs when Windows Movie Maker doesn't even exist anymore. Yet, these videos still make more than I probably ever will. Salty who's salty. They each have a fun hook to them and are easily listenable on their own without the help of the show. The show didn't fear changing up the genre of music either. Disco, pop, rap, beatboxing, jazz, rock, they've got it all, baby. The music is usually determined by where they are. When they're in the Amazon, there's more guitar, Newfoundland has a shanty vibe, Paris has more accordion and woodwinds. It always feels appropriate for the scene it's in, but what's a musical series without characters? A more bearable one? Only in Glee's case, unfortunately. Before I discuss the new characters put in and who was chosen to stay, I need to talk about why the cast works without certain members from the original series. The characters chosen to be taken off were Jeff, Katie, Sadie, Eva, Beth, Trent, and Justin. Jeff was needed to host the Aftermath show, so he's fine on his own, but there's a good reason the others weren't on. Katie and Sadie have stayed on the sidelines since the second season because they technically need to be there as part of the first cast, but no one really wants them to be there. I think they speak the least lines possible in World Tour, and I think the show should just get points for that alone. Eva was a pretty one-note character who served her purpose in the original series, and would be better off for gags in the peanut gallery after that. Beth and Justin were both given much more screen time in the second season, so they didn't have much more that could be fleshed out about them. And then there was Trent. I don't know how the community of Total Drama feels about him, but after season 1, he became a little hard to watch. He just sort of gave up for Gwen, and he didn't have much of a personality before, so it didn't really help. To put it simply, he's the white guy with acoustic guitar. He's super nice and likes to play on his guitar all the time because he's so sentimental. I didn't really like him. The characters the writers did choose to bring back from the first season who weren't in the second, Noah, Cody, and Tyler, were all fun to watch simply for their comedy value. Noah especially because, well, he's just me, so I'm naturally drawn to him. The two new characters aren't bad either. Sierra is sort of like Ronaldo from Steven Universe. I know how much people hate Ronaldo, the nearly homicidal tendencies, the sort of stalking, well, everything about him, but Sierra has something Ronaldo doesn't. Tone. Sierra is treated as a creepy stalker type character. She's acknowledged as such by the other characters. She's basically a joke character who gets some more development near the end of the season. She at least plays her stereotype correctly and well, and she has her own funny moments a few times. Then we have the real star of this season, Alejandro, a Spanish charmer with the thought process of a snake that just ate a fox. He's sort of a mix of Heather and Justin with his own delicious side of villainous scheming. He makes the season what it is. Without him, it just wouldn't be the same series. Unlike Heather, who's vicious and conniving in her trickery, Alejandro instead subtly gets the less intelligent or easily vulnerable characters to help him out or go against other characters without explicitly really doing much to make the other characters hate him. Well, I mean, at least in the moment. He gets them to become overconfident, self-conscious, or flustered if and when it's useful to his team or himself. Sometimes he plants seeds of doubt and it isn't even brought up again until multiple episodes later. He's much better in my opinion than season 1 Heather. She was kind of obvious in how she would get characters to turn on each other or help her, and she barely seemed to even try to be subtle. I do happen to like her character a lot more in this season than previous ones though. Unlike the first season where she played, well, Heather, you've seen that movie, right? The only difference here is that she's one girl, she doesn't have a specific color to match her, and there's no murder involved, at least not right now, because she probably would murder one if she had to. Alejandro actually adds to her character by making her have to try and be a bit more strategic in how she tries to mess with people, because Al might hear what she's trying to do and already have countermeasures prepared. It gives her a certain level of relatability and humanity we didn't get to see from the previous seasons. I appreciated it. Back to Alejandro, I enjoyed how his character still had easily exploitable flaws, like hating being called Al, having an inferiority complex with his brother, and not being able to control himself when he tries to win, all culminating in them being used against him in the finale. Smarter players like Noah catch on to his shtick and some weaknesses early on, which just gives Alejandro more reason to want them off. He's a reason half the characters end up being voted off. These characters helped in creating the best, most memorable ending for the season of Total Drama. First, you have a final three of Heather, Alejandro, and Cody. Cody is obviously an underdog everyone wants to root for, but both Heather and Alejandro have been proven to be strong characters with more skill than Cody. Fans will know this still isn't a final factor, depending on the challenge, considering Gwen lost to Owen in the canonical Canadian ending. It definitely helps make the ending unpredictable, because you don't know who will make it first. Considering how Heather did it in the past, she has an uncertain fate too. After Cody ends up losing, the two remaining members have to rely on two of the few who respect them over one another to create sacrifices to bring up a mountain. There's even some integration for who gets an advantage from the Aftermath show. Alejandro makes it to the top first, but as Heather reaches it, they end up confessing their love for each other and smooching, then Heather kicks him in the balls and she throws her sacrifice in and wins. She's about to take the money when Zeke shows back up and in a Golem Lord of the Rings parody takes the money and falls in the volcano volcano. Then the cast runs down and in the process smothers Alejandro, leading to him being put in a robot suit for a Star Wars Revenge of the Sith parody. So in this episode, we have a parody of finale episodes, a parody of reality TV, a parody of musical shows, a parody of Lord of the Rings, and a parody of Star Wars. 5 goddamn layers of parody. We might reach Leafy levels of satireception if we keep digging. I always really like this ending because while the good guy didn't win, the bad ones didn't either, so it sort of balances itself out. I'm gonna talk about the actual drama itself, but before that, I just want to talk about Zeke. Some fans didn't really like what happened to Zeke over the season because they think he was done dirty, but was Zeke your favorite character or something? Beforehand, he was either smiling in the background or making intentionally sexist remarks to make him less likable. With him staying on the plane so long he ends up homeschooling with animals and adapting their ways, I thought that was the funniest shit they could have done with his character. It's not like his personality was gonna pull him through. To be honest, Animal Zeke is much more tolerable than regular Zeke. Ooh, I can just feel the aura of that single Zeke fan preparing their fingers for a long rant, but that's what I live for at this point. Now, the drama, gentlemen and women. How good was the drama? Was it good as the Jersey Shore, or was it more akin to the Kardashians? I really couldn't say because I have too much self-respect to watch that crap, but my point is, it's good. It's good drama. Yeah, it's good. It's good. One of the main dramas between the characters has to do with the fact that Duncan went and smooched Gwen in the confessional booth because the crappy bathroom door was locked. Minor thing I liked about this season was with the airplane bathroom, there were tons more gags related to the characters coming in or spying on other contestants that I've barely seen in other seasons. Back to what I was saying, Courtney eventually finds out and with the assistance of Alejandro's deceptive control, intentionally loses multiple games for her team to get Gwen voted off. This was a fun conflict because you could really go for either side. Gwen and Duncan work better and more dynamically as a couple than Courtney, and we know they aren't terrible people, but Courtney still got cheated on and has good reasons for wanting to get Gwen taken off. The drama between Heather and Alejandro, like I mentioned, is really fun. They constantly go back and forth between liking and hating each other throughout the series, and the only reason one will betray the other is because they did something they knew would make the other mad. It's a fun game of back and forth between the two. Those are the only major dramas. Everything else is minor and either caused by Alejandro or Heather, and those are also fun, but not really worth talking about. And I think that's about it. I talked about Total Drama World Tour and why it's the best season of Total Drama. Don't at me. Best writing, best use of animation, best use of characters. In the big scheme of things, just the best Total Drama season. Alright, I'm gonna try and get this video to upload now. Goodbye, I'm going to sleep. Actually, I recorded this at 7 in the morning, so I'm gonna stay awake. Bye.